I'm just to get better at this. Like I want the music to come down and I want to do all the cool stuff. But then listen, it is Monday and we're here and we're on time and the sun is shining. And I don't know about you guys, but I had a fantastic, relaxing weekend. Recharged,
Yeah.
rejuvenated, ready to go. How about you, Kayla? How are you doing?
Well, I have a 4-month-old, so
Making me spit out my coffee is not nice.
yeah, it was fine.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, Sandra, glad that you're here with us this morning. I am
Yeah,
so
good
excited.
morning.
So, yeah. So, I know last week, I know we talked about um, perspective and why and
Hmm.
compassion and communication and all of the good stuff. And this week, Kayla, what are we talking about this week? I know it's one of the pillars.
Yeah. So yes, because we have those now. So our
Right.
pillar this week is perseverance, resilience, and adaptability, and or I should say. So that leads us to our quote for today, which is, "You have to see failure as the beginning and the middle, but never entertain it as an end." And that comes to us from Jessica Heron, I think.
I love this. And if you didn't need to hear this today, hang on to it because you might need it tomorrow.
Surely at some point, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. Um, so for me, it kind of takes me back to this whole how do we identify and define failure versus success? What is
Right.
that even like, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah, there's a few related topics that it brought to my mind. We've also a couple of the quotes that we've done before that I feel tie into this. There's one that all change is hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end. And I can't remember who that was, but we've done that. That's been a Monday one before. And
yes.
then also the concept that we get to choose if something is a stumbling block or a
Mm,
failure. And that's the aspect of it that I think it can be very easy to forget, because sometimes, especially if it's a very large stumbling block or roadblock, it can be difficult to even see a way around it. And so
mhm.
it can seem as if at that point that failure is the only option, but there's always a way up, around, through. It's like that kid song. Anybody know that kid song? We're going on a bear hunt.
Hidden Hunt. I remember that song. Yes,
Yeah.
and I loved that song, as a matter
For
of fact.
those who
Probably,
don't, it's we're going on a bear hunt. Um, well, I guess it would
I
be
know, I
helpful if
can't
I knew
remember
all the
all of,
lyrics. But
I
they're
know,
like,
right? Well,
there's like the woods,
you probably Google
and
it
they're
really
like,
quick.
we can't go over it, we can't go under it, we gotta go through it. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. We're going on a bear hunt. It is so like childish,
Just say
obviously,
it.
but really that core concepts, like I love putting that on for my son because that helps to deeply
Yes.
root it that we've got to go through it. It's okay to be
Yes.
scared, but we've got to go through it. There's no way around it.
Right. Right. And this is really important for those of you that might be like me. I am an avoidant type, like self-proclaimed. I understand that this is my default mode. My default mode is to avoid. And I'm here to tell you, if you haven't figured it out yet, it doesn't work. Um, just and so I love this quote because it's a reminder for me personally that, you know, avoiding things and thinking that it's failure and going into this whole shutdown mode is not, it doesn't serve me well. And as a result, it does not serve the ones I serve well either, right? So my clients, my friends, my family, the relationships that I have in my life, that, when I feel like I failed, for whatever reason, by whatever standard, by whatever that is, that remembering that this is not the end,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is just either the beginning or the messy middle. And I love thinking about the messy middle because it gives me so much peace when I'm in it.
Yeah.
Like this is messy. Ooh, this is yucky. It doesn't feel good. Ooh, I don't like it. And it's par for the course.
Yeah, I think it
And
helps to let go of some of that self-judgment that we tend to have that,
yes.
oh, well, so and so, look at them. They've got it all figured out and all put together. No, they don't. Their social
No,
just looks like that. But no, the
right?
expectation is that it will be messy. Life is a work in progress. And especially when you're doing something so untemplated as starting your own business, it is gonna be messy. I mean, if you can like contain the mess and like sort of get it in one cup and like brush off your hands at the end of the day, that's an accomplishment.
So true. So true. There are many, many days. For those of you that know, I started my business in a 250 square foot travel trailer, and now I have an 800 square foot apartment. So now I actually have like a
Manson.
dedicated room. I know, right? It is the mansion. And a dedicated room for work. And I'm not kidding you. It's changed the game for me on weekends because I'm able to leave the mess in this room.
Yeah.
And so again, understanding that the mess in the middle, failure or whatever that might be, is normal, is to be expected in entrepreneurship. And I am just experiencing normal, and that this isn't where things will end. This is just, you know, and I needed to hear that this today, really, very specifically. There's lots of stuff and lots of messy stuff happening over here in my particular corner of the world. So it's good to hear that, I get to choose, right, Kayla? I get to
Mm-hmm.
choose whether or not this is a failure or a stumbling block, an opportunity for learning, an opportunity to grow. We've talked about this too. Personal growth in entrepreneurship is crazy wild. And I know you've heard that from like tons of people, and you're hearing it again here. Like this is a place where we will learn a lot about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. They say that entrepreneurship is 20% what you do and 80% what's in your head. So that is why we're here on Mondays. Welcome. You're in the
That's
right
right.
place.
That's right. Very much so.
I wanted to go back to, you said how you self-identify as an avoidant type personality. And
Mm,
just I want to look at that for a second in this setting of whether or not you entertain something as a failure, because for me in my life, there is some value that when a significant roadblock comes up and your immediate reaction is I cannot see a way around this.
mhm.
I think if you're in that place, there is value in, I don't want to maybe use the word avoiding it, but
Right.
putting it to the side for a minute and not trying to actively solve it at that time.
Mhm.
Because when you are in a heightened state of emotion and you're feeling that failure is the only option, you can't see a way around it, when your nervous system is activated like that, you literally cannot see all of your options. Like your brain and your focus narrows because your nervous system is activated. You're in that fight or flight and you're supposed to be just either fighting or freezing or running away from the danger. And so those are kind of the only things you can see. So put that problem on the shelf, avoid it for a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
a minute, an hour a day, whatever it takes until you feel like it starts to creep back in your, because it's not going to get out of your mind. So once the thoughts
Right.
start to creep into your mind of, well, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that, then that's a better time to sit and brainstorm and get around it. when it doesn't feel like failure is the only option.
Yeah.
And it's okay to phone a friend.
Oh, yeah. Say that one again. It's okay,
It's okay to phone a friend. You get more than one of those. This is not a game show.
That's right. You can call as many as you need to get through it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this in regards to it makes me think about specifically how we utilize persistence in advocacy and how many roadblocks or stumbling blocks or opportunities for
Learning
improvement or
opportunities.
learning, right? Learning opportunities we get faced with on a regular basis. And I know that this is one of the reasons that we talked about this being one of our pillars of conversation, this perseverance, resilience, and adaptability. Because as advocates, our clients, those we serve, are really looking for us to lead the way through these obstacles because one, they're sick, two, they're not in their best mindset. They need some help with that. And then three, of course, just structural and systematic barriers that are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times placed in their way. Um, but I say a lot inside the circle, Kayla. This is hard work.
Oh,
This
absolutely.
is right. Being an advocate for a patient inside the healthcare system is really hard. And so we've got to stay focused on how we build our resiliency and how we, you know, continue to see these as beginning and middle issues, not end issues.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah,
Especially when speaking, with keeping our clients in mind, when our clients come up against some sort of a barrier, that feeling of failure or the end or no way around it is going to be even greater for them, because number one, they're emotionally involved in the situation. It's either their own health or the health of their loved one on the line, and that makes everything seem 10 times worse. And number two, they are already experiencing difficulty even just trying to make it down the path, which is why they've hired us in the first place. So, and
right.
when they're already in waters that they don't know how to navigate and they've already sought expert advice, any kind of obstacle is going to feel like an absolute failure. So I think that's a great point you bring up, that it's important that we keep that in mind with where they are at, so we can perhaps be a little bit more proactive in how we're going to address a situation, and letting them know that I hear you, I see you, I know that this feels like such a roadblock, but I promise you we will figure it out.
I love what you just said. I find myself saying that to clients a lot. Just exactly what you said. I know you're afraid right now. And I know this feels, imagine yourself. I mean, we're talking to other advocates. So imagine, I know we can't be the only ones, but this is a really important conversation to have with our clients regularly. I know that this is how you feel. I know that you're scared. I know that you're terrified. I know that you're worried that this isn't going to resolve and I love the fact that you can say, I promise we can navigate this. We will survive this. Now, I think it's also really important that we don't guarantee outcomes. I just want to qualify that there, right? Like
Yeah,
we're not guaranteeing outcomes. We're only guaranteeing that we promise we're going to survive this and get through it.
we will leave
And
no
reminding
stone
them.
unturned.
That's right.
That's what I say.
That's right. That's right. And that can be hard emotionally. And I love what you said too. Um, I I think it is important that when we find ourselves emotionally charged in either way, positive or negative, right? Like, oh my gosh, we can't do this. It is important to kind of shelve that for a moment and get a better perspective, which is one of our other pillars. So go listen to last week's. We talked about perspective a lot there. Um, and come back to the table, because a lot of this mindset work that we do on Monday serves so many facets of what we do through the week.
Oh,
right? One,
absolutely.
it sets us up to feel like we are in a good place to go into the week. But then it also reminds us how our mindset affects the clients and the people that we serve, and how they really need us to show up in our best mindset in order to feel in order to get what they need from us. So I love that. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything uh, that we haven't talked about. We tend to kind
I
of
know
get
you
things.
always have notes. I need to start putting in the quotes sooner now that I know that. Poor
No,
Nicole. I
oh,
put this in at like 8:30 last night after I put my kids to bed.
it's totally okay, because I was actually looking. In fact, well, we'll talk about that. We've got to. Anyway, I think the biggest message here, right? I think today is about staying focused on the end long-term goal too, right? Like not getting so caught up in the messy middle that we forget where we're headed and what the long-term goal is. And again, in our work, like it's easy for me during the workday to just get caught up in, the little minutia of everything that I'm trying to do. When at the end of the day, it's important for me to look back and go, okay, how did I get closer to getting resolution for this issue? Am I closer? And if so, then it was a successful day, right?
Remember, Confucius tells us it does not matter how slowly you walk as long as you don't stop moving.
That's right. That's right.
Or
That is
something
so
along those lines. I'm pretty sure I
right.
paraphrased that.
Yeah, again, we did talk about that one, and it's true, right? It's progress, not perfection. And I think a lot of times it's hard to remember that. So staying focused on the bigger picture and keeping forward movement in any way, shape, or form is the goal. And so I love that.
And I do
I'm
just want
trying
to
to think.
say, when you do have a time where something has come up, this roadblock that feels like a failure, and you're just distraught and you can't see a way around, it's okay that you feel that way initially. Like don't hold, just because we're saying, oh, don't see it as a failure, doesn't mean that the next time you see it as a failure you should also judge yourself for that. Absolutely not. Like hold space to allow yourself to feel frustrated and disappointed, or if you had poured a lot of work into something and it didn't turn out right, like it's okay to be upset in that moment. Give yourself the grace and compassion to allow yourself those negative emotions. Just don't marinate in them.
Right. I often say, I don't want to get stuck in this. So
Yeah.
I have a situation like today that I think really reflects what you just said. So those of you that know, I did my first 5K this spring and like power walked it, did a great job. I was really feeling really good. And so I have kind of turned the corner. I want to start like jogging/running. I'd like to run it next spring. And I feel defeated. I haven't been able to move from walking into jogging/running yet. And that was in May. So June, July, August, almost 4 months. It'll be 4 months in September. And just on my walk this weekend, I had this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, stop beating yourself up. Like, because when I did that, I was walking just shy of 2 miles a day. And I'm up to like my morning walk is now 3 miles. And I try and do one or two in the evening now. So, okay, I'm not running, but you know what? I'm walking a heck of a lot more than I was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's funny because it was just this morning on my morning walk that I was like, stop beating yourself up. Like it's progress. Right. And these
Yeah,
are the
stop shitting
things.
on yourself.
That's right. That's right. Because it is forward progress. And this is just one of those areas that while it seems like, oh, what does walking have to do with, advocacy it has everything to do with mindset. It has everything to do with how I show up here on Mondays and have these conversations. It has everything to do with how I feel about myself. And it's really important that when I'm making progress, that I give myself credit for the progress I'm making.
Absolutely.
So the message is you too, right? Like if you're listening to this and you found yourself in this I should be doing better, I should be doing more, I should be further ahead, I should be like all of those shoulds, like give yourself some credit for the change that you've made. There's a great book. You guys knew we weren't going to get through this without a book discussion, right? Like there's a great book. It's called The Gap and the Gain, and I can't think of the author right now. But if you look it up, you'll find it. It's The Gap and the Gain. And I personally want to live in the gain. I want to be finished with living in the gap. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, take a look at that book because I can't get it, it's a whole thing, but it's a really good book. So if you struggle with what we're talking about today, that might be a good resource for you.
Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
There you go. Thank you so much, Kayla. See, I have notes, but you like look
and
things up.
And it's on Audible. For
awesome.
people like me.
And you know what? I love, so I've learned Audible has really changed the trajectory of my reading curve. But anyway, that's another conversation. So The Gap and the Gain, it's a wonderful book, and it really focuses in giving ourselves credit, taking credit for the progress that we're made and not stopping moving. And I think it feeds into this conversation that we're having today pretty well.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. So what's our call to action? Let's see. I'm going to say, I would love to hear stories about when people have been faced with a setback or what they perceived as a setback and turned it into a stepping stone. Mm-hmm. Like, when have you done that? When have you taken what seems like to be a barrier or setback and turned it into a stepping stone to your next, getting towards your goal, whatever that might be? I'm trying to think about.
I would also challenge the listeners to reflect back, either personally or professionally, and look at something that you perceived as a failure and revisit it and see if maybe it was just a stumbling block. And then perhaps that is a chapter that now you can see a way around it and it's no longer a failure. Or if you just determine that, yes, that is where that road ended, perhaps then we can reframe it from a failure as something you learned. Just the one thing that I have learned with this entrepreneurial venture is I have found a lot of ways that don't work. And that's okay. That is part of the process. Right. Mr. Thomas Edison, it took him 10,000 attempts to make a light bulb. If he saw those as failures, he probably would have quit before he got to the light bulb, but he didn't. He just found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
That's right. And sometimes that's important. And I mean, that's how we get where we want to go.
Right. Like it would be really nice if we could just always find the path that works, but that's just not reality, especially with starting an independent patient advocacy practice, because not only are we jumping the hurdle of starting our own business, but it's often one that people haven't heard of. So like there's not this like great framework. Like I feel like, for instance, if you wanted to start like a business painting house or cleaning houses, like, okay, there's plenty of people who have done that before. People know what that looks like. You can probably have ChatGPT give you the instructions for how to do it. But what we're setting out is really quite, what did you call it? Agents of change for the industry.
Yes. Very much so.
So
Change agents.
I
Yes.
think it's expected that we find even more ways that don't work than perhaps
Right.
somebody in in another industry.
Yes. Yes. Very much
That's
so.
okay. That's the beginning and the middle.
That's right. And in addition to that, you know, anytime we set out on the trajectory to do the work that we are meant to do, many times our journey is going to look very different than others' journeys. And the hardest part, at least for me, Kayla, I have to, in full transparency, the hardest part for me about that was that I saw that there were advocates out there starting their own business and it was working for them. And I thought if I did what they did, I would get what they had, because that's kind of been my mindset. Like if I do what other successful people have done, then I will get what the results that they get. And I don't want to say that's not true because in many ways it is true, but in many ways it's not, right? Because their business and model and their service levels are different than mine, and my clients are different than theirs. Like we don't, so there's a
Well, and
lot of
even more
similarities.
so, your business is a business of you that highlights your special skills and your magic gift, which is not
Right.
something that anybody else has. So there's absolute value in having guidance and mentors, but this stuff isn't copy and paste because you can copy and paste it, but the key that unlocks it to make it successful is the person that you have in there. So if you copy and paste somebody else's and plunk in yourself, well, obviously the shoes don't fit.
Right, right. I love this. Yeah, so I'm really excited to kind of learn, and these could be like client journeys too. Like, where were you with a client that you felt like you were like stumped and feeling like, because this has happened, don't let any of us like forget. This happens to all of us. We get to a certain point in the journey with a client and feel like maybe we're banging our head on a wall and trying to find the door or the window or the loose brick or in the loose mortar of the wall sometimes can be really challenging, but I assure you it's there. So I love to hear stories of, all of this was failing. One of my favorite client stories is that we had pursued all avenues of financial assistance and all kinds of things, and literally got down to the wire where I kind of hold back on taking things public, but I was like ready to go there if we had to. That's how far in a corner I felt trapped. And literally within 24 hours of me feeling and making that decision, the mortar broke loose, the brick fell out, and we were on the other side of the wall. I'm just saying.
Yay.
So, yeah. So, I would love to hear other stories about that and how it rejuvenates you, right? Like, I don't know about you, but when that stuff happens, like, I'm all game for the next one,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, oh, let's do it again. Let's find that next loose brick. Let's get to the other side of the wall on the other
This
one.
is what we're here for.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. I love it. So I'd love to hear that stuff in the comments. Um, Other than that, I don't know. Do you have anything else that we need to run on this one, or are we good?
I think, well, we threw out a couple. I think we're good.
I
Yeah.
know. I think we're good.
So
Awesome.
you have
I
to
would love
see
to.
failure as the beginning and the middle, but never entertain it as an end. Thank you, Jessica Heron, for that this week.
Very much so. Go have a great week, you guys. We'll see you right back here next Monday, 9
Where we'll
a.m.
talk
Eastern.
about self care and boundaries.
Oh, I love that. That's going to be good because guess what? It's Labor Day. So that's an awesome topic for Labor Day. Awesome. We'll see you back here next Monday to talk about self-care and what else was this? Self-care and boundaries?
Boundaries.
Ooh, girl. Okay. Looking forward to it. You guys have a great week. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.